Hello and welcome everybody to Leadership in the Sight, where today it's about agile leadership, empowering teams, and driving innovation. Welcome. We are live. Please don't forget to like and subscribe from whatever platform you are watching us on. And again, welcome everyone. Today, we are going to deep dive into agile leadership. And that's a style of leadership that's not just a trendy word, but a powerful way to get things done in today's fast paced world. Being flexible as a leader can make the difference in how well your team works and comes up with new ideals, no matter what business you happen to be in. We're going to talk about how agile leadership gives teams more power and encourages new ideals, as well as how you can start using this style of leadership to move up in your job. It's so important as leaders. I've discussed this on several occasions to make sure that you continue to educate yourself, learn about all of these different leadership styles so that you know how to flex in and out. If you are an employee, maybe you've never been in leadership. If you've never been in leadership, one of the first questions when people are moving or wanting to go into leadership is, how am I going to be as a leader? So, learning about the different styles is what's going to help you determine how you're going to show up. And thus, today we're learning about agile leadership. Now, last week, it was the power of listening. We covered cultivate a listening mindset, foster a culture of openness and trust. And then we moved into implementing active listening techniques. So if you missed it, please make sure you go back and you can find that on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and probably the easiest to find it on YouTube, but they are there for you. Now, what we're going to talk about today, our 3 points is going to be flexibility, empowerment, and continuous improvement. And before we jump into our 3 points, let's do a quick roll call. Whether you're catching us live, whether you're catching us on the replay, let us know that you are here. If there is something that is resonating, let us know that as well. And if you have questions, just drop them in the comments. Myself, my team, we do look through the comments. And if you ever are just like, you know what, Sparkle Joy Coach Miranda, I have a question. Perfectly fine. Drop it in the comments. It will get back to me. And as long as it is around leadership or something that I talk about, it will be answered. Now, with that being said, I'm going to tell a quick story. And I want you to picture yourself leading a group of people through a tough job. And I mean, where it's like not sweating bullets, but it's a pretty tough job because I don't want any of us to sweat bullets. Okay. Not literally at any rate. Imagine it's a tough job. Everyone is excited though, and full of ideals at first. You know how it is. You are so excited, or you're getting a tattoo and you're super excited. You're getting a new hairstyle. You're super excited. You're whatever it is. You just landed the new job and everybody's super excited until about 3 months in, maybe 6 months in. And so this is everyone is super excited. They are full of ideals at first. And the team, they are moving, grooving, and moving forward quickly. Then, as the job goes, you know what happens. A brick wall, it just popped out. I don't even understand how the brick wall just popped out of the ceiling and just you just ran into it. But you reached that first brick wall as the original thrills start to wear off. Problems start to arise. What happens when problems starts to arise? Morale starts to plummet. Morale, it starts to sharply decline. And this is such a crucial, important time. The old fashioned way of leading might be let's push harder, dig on deep. The leader, let's be more direct. And for some, let's micromanage. Let's micromanage. Okay, now note, I said that was the old fashioned type of leadership. An agile leader, on the other hand, sees the problem in a different way. They don't just keep pushing in the same old way. Instead, they change. They listen and they adapt as needed. And this is what keeps the team interested and motivated. This way of leading not only gets the team through the problem, but it often leads to new ideals that the leaders wouldn't have thought of if they were stricter. And that is why agile leadership is so important. It turns possible failures into chances for growth and new ideals, pushing your team to the new height. Now, let's go ahead and break down agile leadership, starting with our first point, and that's about embracing flexibility. Being flexible is the first step to agile leadership. Traditional ways of leading depends on these set plans and systems, but agile leaders know that things are always changing. They are willing to change their plans and tactics as a new information comes in. Leaders who are flexible can quickly deal with problems and take advantages of new opportunities. This makes the team stronger and more flexible. To start being flexible, make it easy for your team to talk to each other and create an atmosphere where ideals can grow. And why is it important to be flexible? Being flexible is important because it's going to give your team the courage to handle the unexpected. Today's world changes so quickly, and that rigid plan can become extremely outdated extremely quick, causing people to miss out on chances, or you're using inefficient methods, and we don't want that. You can make sure that your team can change direction when needed, follow trends in the industry, and stay competitive while being flexible. This ability to change not only helps people deal with risk, but it also promotes that culture where people are free to try new things without fear of failure. Listen, leader, and yes, I am speaking directly to you. Stop creating situations where your team are afraid to fail. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain occupations that it is such a production driven occupation where you do have to be rigid, you do have to be streamlined. And so perhaps I am talking to the leader where you know that your environment can handle change. Matter of fact, your environment is changing constantly, and you want to create an environment for your team where they feel like they can fail forward, not just fail and then get in trouble. Create an atmosphere When people feel like they are not going to get in trouble for failure, that means that creativity, that spark of life is going to come into your team, is going to come into the organization. And that's where magic, true magic starts to happen. Now, our second point is going to be making sure that you're empowering your team, giving your team members the freedom to own their work is an important part of agile leadership. Now, this means letting your team make choices, letting them try new things, and being there for them when things don't go as planned. Teams that are given more power are more driven, they are more engaged, and they're creative, which helps them to solve those problems and come up with new ideals. To start empowering your team, please start focusing on giving them important tasks, giving them clear but not too detailed instructions, and recognizing and celebrating their success. Please do not skip on celebrating their success. And why is this important? Why is giving people power important? It's important because it makes them feel like they own their work. And when someone owns their work, they are more likely to put their all in. And when someone's responsible for it, there are people out there that they are like, if my name is attached to that, I want it to be the greatest. And that is such a blessing to be able to give an employee that. People on a team are more likely to go above and beyond in their jobs when they feel trusted, when they feel like you, leader, value them. This leads to better results, not just for your team, but for the entire organization, giving people the freedom to try new things and come up with new ideals without worrying about being watched all the time truly helps to cultivate and encourage that creativity. When you give your team more freedom, you make it more likely for each person to do their best work, which again, it's going to encourage things like productivity, and it also leads to job happiness. And there is nothing better than your team wanting to come to work when it's time to come to work. Our third point, continuous improvement. Lastly, agile leadership is based on the ideal that things should always be getting better. Leaders who use agile methods tell their teams to regularly think about their job and look for ways to make processes, products, or performance better. To do this, you need to make sure that feedback is common and that both wins and failures are seen as opportunities to learn and grow. Now, listen, I didn't say failures are seen as an opportunity to write people up. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a place and a time, even with what I am speaking about, that you may have to write someone up. However, that should never just be the first thing that we're thinking about off the brink, because if that's the case, you are not going to encourage people to want to fail. They will stay in that mindset of, I'm going to do what you only tell me to do, how you tell me to do it. And that does not encourage creativity. People need to know that if they fail, they are not going to lose their job. And leader, that is partially on you to make sure that you are packaging the message correctly. Now, back to continuous improvement. Make sure again that feedback is common. We want the wins and we want the failures in terms to make sure that we are growing and we are learning. Start accepting continuous improvement by holding regular team retrospective meetings. In retrospect, what did we learn? Hold these meetings. Let them know it is okay. You made a mistake. We got something wrong, and let's learn from it. At these meetings, everyone can talk about what went well, what didn't, and no, what didn't go well without all of the super feelings and emotional situations because you have created a foundation where people don't have to get super defensive. It's let's dig in. We did this. Okay, maybe we should have done that. Or when we did this, this happened. But leader, you have to cultivate those relationships, that team dynamic, so that we can have these retrospective meetings about what went well, what didn't, and how to make things better in the future. And this is important because we got to keep on improving. Could you imagine as a leader? You remember when you first had your first job, you went to work excited. Are you, and let's just fast forward 15 years from your first job, are you exactly the same? Or have you made improvements in yourself? And if you're a leader, I would like to think that you are not exactly the same, but you are a better, improved version, right? That's what we're talking about. Even in business, even in our team dynamics, we need to keep improving because that way your team, your organization will always be changing. And we would love it to be changing ahead of the curve and not behind the curve. If you get too comfortable in a competitive environment, you might not move forward. You may get stuck. You can get your team to always look for ways to improve their work by creating a culture of continuous improvement. This will lead to better progress, better outcomes. This dedication to always getting it done better not only leads to new ideals, but it also keeps your team interested in their work because they know that there is a reason, that there is a room for improvement and growth. In today's session, we have explored agile leadership, a style that emphasizes flexibility, empowerment, and continuous improvement. By being adaptive, empowering your teams, and fostering this culture of consistent, constant learning can drive that innovation and lead your team through challenges with confidence. Agile leadership isn't just about surviving in a fast paced world. It's about thriving and turning these challenges into opportunities for success. As you continue to develop in your career, remember that embracing agile leadership will not only empower your team, but it's going to position you as a leader who is forward thinking and innovative. I always end with a quote. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change. Thank you for your time today. Let's continue to lead with agility and make positive impacts on our teams, on our organizations. Please don't forget to like and subscribe again from whatever platform you are watching us on. Join me next week for more incredible insight. You deserve nothing but the best. And it's my goal to ensure that you move to your next level. Let's take your career to new heights together.